The San Francisco 49ers have a tight matchup against the New York Jets. It's going to be a close, challenging game, most likely. Another day of football has happened, and I think we can all agree now that those Niners, that those veterans that are out there saying, guys, don't take anything for granted, go earn every single thing, we know exactly what they're talking about, don't we? We are reminded very quickly in just a few games of football how important it is to not take things for granted. The 49ers have to aim to improve at every level. On the roster level, I do think the 49ers have improved. I think on defensive schemes, we will see an overall improvement from last season to this season. But a double dose of great news pushed that reality forward as well, including great Ricky Pearsall news. I'm going to share with you in 25 seconds, and later in the show, some awesome Brock Purdy news as well. If you're new here, I'm Nate. Love talking the 49ers. Like and sub if you don't want to miss out on all of that. Look, here's the headline. Pretty straightforward. Ricky Pearsall is expected to play when eligible. He's eligible for Week 5, and he's expected, according to Mike Garafolo, he is expected to play Week 5. That is incredible. That's fantastic news for so many reasons. And I'm going to break it down in a second here. But first, comment below, how important do you think Ricky Pearsall is to this football team? Because there is a big, big question mark around what was John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. What were they trying to do with this first-round draft pick? This is the first time in several years that the 49ers have had a first-rounder and they spent it on this guy. They could have tried to trade up. Maybe they did, and we just don't know that. They could have taken some other guys. There were some big names still on the board. So, what do you think? Why did they pick wide receiver Ricky Pearsall? I mean, we certainly know he's tough. He's tougher than anybody anticipated he would be. No doubt. If they were looking for toughness, they found a lot more than they thought when they drafted him. But I guess the big question is, was this cover in case Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel are on their way out? Or did they have something in mind for this guy this season? Typically, outside of the quarterback position, where there are exceptions at that level, of course, typically you draft a first rounder, you're expecting them to contribute on the field that season. Typically. At the wide receiver position, that's pretty common, right? You're expecting him to contribute. Okay? Xavier Worthy, there's your example. You expect him to contribute. He goes out, gets 2 TDs. Granted, defensive mishaps on both plays, but I digress. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you feel like Ricky Pearsall has a special role to play, I think personally that Ricky Pearsall has a special role to play. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. I don't know what Kyle Shanahan has cooked up. And definitely after missing a good chunk of training camp, after missing the entirety of preseason, after then having this horrible tragedy, this horrible situation play out, and having to go through the emotional and mental challenge of all of that, then the physical recuperation from that, and then you have to miss out all these games. You're watching all the other guys go out there and get reps. You're watching Jacob Cowan go out there and get reps, and you're still waiting. Week 5, you know he's going to want to play, and you know it's going to be a slow build, because the guy hasn't actually caught a football, not even in preseason. So what we need to see from him, of course, is going to be delayed now from what we originally thought. But I think the idea that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have something in mind for him already is, in my opinion, I think a very strong position. I think that it's very likely that's the case. Just breaking this one down a little bit further, nobody's expecting Ricky Pearsall to be a massive target this season. Okay, I originally told you at the beginning of the season, I think if he has 50 targets, that is a huge season for him. Not a huge season for a rookie wideout in general, but looking at the other guys on this roster and the way that the 49ers like to play football, that's a huge amount of targets for this particular situation, in my opinion. If he goes out there and he gets something like a Ray McCloud or Ronnie Bell kind of targets, even last year's Juwan Jennings kind of targets, if he's like in that 30-ish range, then I would say now, with everything considered, first 4 weeks out, slow playing it into the season, that would still be an incredible season for him. That's my goal in terms of wanting to see him out there and see what he can do. I can't wait to watch him run those slick routes. I can't wait to watch him go catch the football in real big moments. Week 5, I'm going to be at the stadium watching against the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm like, maybe I get to watch him in the flesh the first time I ever get to see him. That would be kind of fun. We'll have to wait and see what happens, of course. But how important is Ricky Pearsall in terms of targets? Probably not massively important this season, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. How important is Ricky Pearsall for morale? After everything that's happened, I think that he's going to be a guy that's galvanizing, helping galvanize this team. A team full of veterans, full of big personalities, full of guys like Trent Williams out there, Deebo Samuel, leading the charge with the boombox. I'm forgetting what it's called, the specific name of it. But I think that Pearsall is also going to be a morale boost, and some people have suggested he's going to lead the team out. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But how important is it for him to get rookie reps? I think it's huge value, high value for him to go out there and get some rookie snaps. I don't care if it's 20. I don't care what it is. He needs to get out there and run some real routes. And even if he doesn't get a ton of targets, he needs to get out there and run routes in the NFL. That's important. I think it's incredibly important. Can he do something special this season? Absolutely. Are we expecting it? No, I don't think we should expect him to go out and have amazing games where he's getting high target, high yardage, high touchdown. Like, anything he does is a bonus. What we want to see him do is go out there, do the dirty work, do some blocking out there, and run some slick routes. That's what we want to see, right? Now, let's get to Brock Purdy. We got to get to Brock Purdy. There's some great stuff out there on Brock Purdy. I want to quickly just go over what Brock Purdy said about his own offseason development. The San Francisco 49ers believe the best is yet to come for the third-year quarterback. Of course we do. After an impressive season in which he set a single-season franchise record with 4,280 passing yards, led the NFL with a 113 passer rating, and finished 4th in MVP voting, Purdy is far from satisfied, and neither are the 49ers, because we want to see that 6th Lombardi trophy. That's for sure. But also, we know this kid is still got levels to go. He can still continue to grow. Despite leading the 49ers to 2 NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl in his first 2 seasons, Purdy remains focused on improvement. This offseason, Purdy concentrated on 2 key areas: his mobility and his mental side. Now, I love that. I'll break down more in a second, but let's get to the quotes, okay? That's the stuff that you came for. Mentally, watching the film and learning situational football and what I could have done better, Purdy said, that's one thing mentally that I sort of honed in on and want to get better at and need to get better at. The other thing physically is my mobility. I think it helped out with my speed and my arm strength and everything, just being able to open my shoulders and open my hips and just be a better athlete. That's something I'll always work on. I'm going to keep going through what he says. Obviously, Purdy continues, last year with my elbow injury, that took all of my time and effort, whereas this year I was actually able to work on other parts of my body and become a better athlete in general. Ultimately, with superstar players lining up along against Brock Purdy in every game, Purdy has learned the value, this is David Bonilla talking, value of keeping things simple and focusing on the fundamentals. I love that about him. Yes, you do too, whether you like it or know it or not. Everything matters, the details. Everyone's so good. We're playing the best of the best every Sunday, finding ways to keep it simple at the end of the day. I think when I first got to the NFL, it was, the guy on the other side of the ball is Jalen Ramsey or Aaron Donald. There's these big, talented guys that you've heard of while growing up. At the very end of the day, it's football, and I have to make the right decision with the ball in my hands every down, every play, be consistent and keep it simple. This is what everybody says about Brock Purdy. It's what everybody says they love about him. All of the big scouts, all the big NFL Network guys, this is what they say. I feel like I can have that state of mind and that chip on my shoulder every game, then everything takes care of itself. But the minute I start overthinking it and think more about who they are and what they do, then I feel about they consume me and the sort of handcuff my mentality. Yes, all brilliant points from Brock Purdy. Okay, so his big offseason developments, right? Number 1, he bulked up. That was a big thing we noticed when we first saw him at OTAs. Ooh, he looks a little bit bigger, and we know that he showed up a little bit beefier. He couldn't work on that strength in the offseason last year, so it's something he was focused on building this season, which is a good thing, and we should be happy about that. Little arm strength goes, every little bit of arm strength goes a long way, and especially for a guy at his particular situation. A little bit extra arm strength can make a big difference if it's a little more zip on the ball, or if it's a little bit extra distance on one of those lofted passes. That could be a difference maker for a guy who's not known for his arm strength. Obviously, in the same way that with basketball, where you're like, hey, don't overdo it though, okay? You lift too many weights, you gain too much muscle, you start throwing off the mechanics, right? He also worked on the mental aspect of situation awareness and game management, which he is already so strong at mentally. He's already so strong. So love to hear that he's continuing to think that way, and that's what the greatest athletes do. Kobe Bryant never felt like he was good. He always kept trying to be better. Same thing with Michael Jordan. Always trying to improve every single offseason. Even after he retired and came back to basketball, he was trying to be better. That confidence comes from this kind of prep. You continue to prep this way, you continue to train this way, and build your mindset this way, you will continue to get better. And the more mental work is only going to improve his comfort and calmness in the pocket. And that's what we love about Brock Purdy, that he doesn't get too excited. We saw in the preseason game where he started getting a little excited and kind of breaking out of the pocket too quickly, and that's not what you want to see. But you understand, no offense to Jalen Moore, but you understand without your boy Trent Williams on the left side, you feel a little bit edgy inside the pocket there. While we're talking about young QBs today, by the way, I got this from Will Levis. Not a rookie. Well, I guess I don't know. Do you call him a rookie if it's his first year at quarterback? Right? That's his rookie year, kind of. I don't know. Someone let me know in the comments. I don't know. But yeah, this play. Oh, sorry. You didn't get the play because I didn't push the right button. Will it work? There it goes. Okay, there you go. So here's Will Levis over here, about to get sacked, decides to take a little bit of a risk and throw the game away. That's a good move. That's a really good move, and that's the kind of classic young player moves that we saw all day today. Not this bad, actually. It's probably the worst of all of them young player plays. But we saw a lot of rookie quarterbacks out there. Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams. I mean, we're seeing guys, and Caleb Williams did okay. Bo Nix threw multiple picks. One of them he throws into double coverage, then threw another one into triple coverage, and just not making the best decisions and not placing the ball accurately. And you look at a guy like Brock Purdy, who nobody expected to be anything, and you stack him up next to all these first-round draft picks over here, and you're like, hey, guys, not bad. You can hate on him all you want, but you will never be able to take away the fact that Brock Purdy has played as well as he has. Every single opportunity he's gotten, he has proven it, and I respect that about him. And watching these rookie quarterbacks today just made me feel so much better about it. And I do believe that these rookie quarterbacks are going to be good. I do. But some guys need development, and something about Brock Purdy is just so amazing that he didn't need as much development just from the outset, which is pretty cool. And say what you want about, Brock Purdy's got weapons. Yeah, so does Caleb Williams. He's got weapons out there. Incredible weapons. So let's not get all up in arms about Brock Purdy has weapons, and that's why we can't say that he's a good quarterback. Look at him out there. Yes, he's a good quarterback. Yes, he has good weapons. Both of those things can also be true at the same time. And we saw good weapons, not so good a play coming from Caleb Williams today. And he's a rookie, and no one should be holding him that kind of expectations. ESPN has blown this all way out of proportion, which is probably the biggest issue there. But what Brock Purdy has done, stepping in as a young quarterback, has been so impressive. He deserves all of the credit for that. Let's get into just a few of the other stories from the day that I wanted to hit, starting with this one. Excuse me. Brandon Aiyuk reportedly called off a trade to the Steelers in the 11th hour to take the original deal the 49ers had offered him from the start. Kyle Shanahan told Aiyuk at practice that he was either getting traded today, and the way that it sounded was pretty intense. Like Kyle Shanahan running upstairs saying, hold off the trade, going to Brandon Aiyuk and telling him, you've got to the end of practice today to take the deal we put on the table for you, or you're gone. End of practice today, you're going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you're going to be a San Francisco 49er. And he chose the San Francisco 49ers. Love it. And very, very interesting story for sure. I'm not even going to go into some of the wild takes that are out there about that situation. Okay. This prediction for the Monday Night Football game against the Jets was an interesting one, so I just wanted to throw it out there from Coach Yak here. 49ers would beat the Jets 24-17. In terms of offensive production, two really good defenses, two really good offenses, but defenses and the first week of football, not having all the guys gelling necessarily perfectly, good defensive lines on both sides of the football. This is a pretty good prediction in my opinion. Here's how he breaks it down. Purdy, 265 yards passing, 2 TDs. CMC with 105 total yards. Yes, he'll play. And yes, he's going to play. Anyone who's saying he's not going to play, whatever. That's fine if we want to play mind games, whatever we want to do with that. He's going to play. Deebo, 90 total yards and a touchdown. Kittle, 65 yards and a touchdown. Brandon Aiyuk, 80 yards. Purdy, 0 sacks, 1 pressure allowed. That's impressive against this defensive line. Bosa and Floyd, 3 sacks total. And Demo, interception. Love the takes, and I'll take that positive energy. I'm a fan of it. One other take out there. I don't know if you guys caught what was going on around in terms of NFC West stuff that's going on. I think the Rams are playing right now, if I remember correctly. But the Cardinals had some good flow. Marvin Harrison Jr. was good as advertised. I only watched highlights, so if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. I didn't watch the entire game, but just from the few things I saw, I was impressed. I'll also say, and I'm not so sure about if the NFC West is going to make a push for the second best division in football. We'll have to see about that. The Seahawks, really rough at the beginning, really rough. And the pressure that the Denver Broncos were able to put on their offensive line was immense in the first half. The game started to stretch out once I think the Broncos offense was just not good enough to get the defense a break, and I think they started to break down. But the Broncos defensive line absolutely had a field day with QB pressures and destroying Geno Smith. And Geno Smith, throwing a pick in a really bad interception. So, we'll have to see. They started to pick things up in the second half, but I do feel like the Seahawks defense will be as good as everyone thinks that it's going to be. But I'm still not 100% convinced in Geno Smith as a quarterback. I think the wide receiver core is fantastic. I just don't know if they're going to be that good. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. They got their win today, so who's to say? Is that everything? Oh, we got one more. 4 of PFF's top 5 graded cover plays from 2023, cover players, from 2023 will play Monday Night Football. Sauce Gardner, C.J. Mosley, Jalen Johnson, Quincy Williams, and Charvarius Ward. This is going to be, to quote David Lombardi himself, this is a tantalizing matchup. Going to be pretty insane. We'll have to wait and see it all happen, unfold on Monday Night Football under the lights. This is going to be so much fun. We are now 1 day away. It's tomorrow. I'm going to get your Game Day jersey on. Oh, man. It's going to be so fun. I can't wait to watch it, and I can't wait to report back to you and share my opinions and see what you guys think in the comments as always. Thank you so much for subbing. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey throughout this season. Having an absolute blast as always. What a time to be alive.